It's trade deadline day and things are already happening. So let's get a move on before you or I get traded in the middle of this episode.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Rangers podcast. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan, covered this team for 12 seasons, including all 7 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank y'all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. I'm getting a breaking news update that I've been traded to Locked On Phillies? Just kidding. We're still good. We're still here on this trade deadline day, but my goodness, things have been moving. On today's show, we're talking about last night's win, salvaging a win in a horrific, truly maddening series in Anaheim. We're going to talk about who of the Rangers trade targets has already been traded, who's left, and what's going on in the AOS, because it seems like 4, yes, count them, 4 teams are going to be buyers. But let's start off with last night's game. The action happening late in Anaheim, as it always does. A 6-3 win for these Texas Rangers. Nathan Evaldi notches the win, his 100th career win. That is a great mark for Nathan Evaldi. You'll also notice me just going ahead and checking my watch every single 5 minutes, because I've got so many notifications all set to go to my watch. And of course, Ken Rosenthal keeps tweeting everything that's going on, and just trying to make sure that if some breaking news happens while I'm recording this at 9:51 a.m. Central Standard Time, just to mark the time, because I'm hoping that I can get this episode out and published before anything happens. But last night, the Rangers were able to pour on some runs of support for Nathan Evaldi late on in this game. He goes 7 innings, just 4 strikeouts. It did have a couple of walks that were questionable. I don't know if those necessarily should have been walks. The umpiring crew in this one was just, well, I'm happy to be done with them. That's the nicest thing that I will say about them after what they did in this entire series. But 7 innings of 1-run ball for Nathan Evaldi, who lowers his season ERA all the way from 1.50 to 1.49. A 1.49 ERA and 7 innings in this one. He has just been so unbelievably good. I mean, we talked a lot, and rightfully so, for this whole season about how Jacob deGrom has been incredible. But in 18 starts, 103 innings, he's got a 1.49 ERA, Nathan Evaldi. He is just incredible this year. And in this huge moment where the Rangers had to use, some leverage arms in the Tuesday night game, I don't know. I still don't know why Sean Armstrong was in there in that game where the Rangers were already losing, why the Rangers needed to have a high leverage guy in there. But it was just so important to get Evo in there, to only ask 2 innings of the pen. And had Bobby Milner not had a bit of a rough day and Armstrong a bit of a rough day behind him, then the Rangers might not have had to have any leverage relievers. But Nathan Evaldi answers the bell in big games better than anybody. I mean, truly, I've never seen anything like it. And my biggest shame, my biggest regret is that when the Rangers signed Nathan Evaldi, I didn't get it the first time. The second time I got it. After seeing that World Series run, it's hard to not get what Nathan Evaldi brings to this Texas Rangers team. But at that point, the Rangers already signed DeGrom. They'd already signed Heaney. They'd already brought back Martin Perez. They already brought in, I feel like there was somebody else who I'm forgetting in that class. But the Rangers had, basically 5 starting pitchers already at that point. And I thought, okay, Nathan Evaldi, sure. I guess that's fine. No, more than fine. What a freaking man this guy has been for this Texas Rangers squad. Every time they need a big game, big game Nate steps up. Big game James got nothing on big game Nate. Those 7 innings were huge, and this offense took a while to get going, but finally did get itself scoring 1 run in the 4th inning. Unfortunately, Evo wasn't able to execute that shutdown inning in the bottom of the 4th, but they get that lead right back in the 6th. Then they drop 4 runs in the 8th just for good measure after some truly stupid play by the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, letting Cory Seager reach on an error that should have been caught by Joe Adell. Seager eventually would extend that now, I believe, 29 or 30 game on base streak with a single in the top of the ninth inning. But the guys behind him making it work. I mean, Wyatt Langford reaching base on a strikeout on a wild pitch and just making it work. I mean, everybody just tagging on in this one, including Kyle Higashioka, who is the hottest man on the freaking planet in the month of July. In 15 games there, he's hitting 400. He's got 5 of his 6 home runs. He's got 11 RBIs in this month, and he's got a 745 slugging percentage. Not a 745 OPS, a 745 slugging percentage. That is an 1149 OPS for this month. I mean, before this month, he was just had a 600 or so OPS. The highest OPS he had in a month before this was April, March of 669. That's not great. Then it was below 500 in May. It was almost at 500 at 511 in June. And then July hit after that trip to San Diego. Maybe it's just the West Coast where Kyle Higashioka thrives, because he had a triple in this one. Yes, a triple in this one. And also a big note that Jock Peterson was out of the lineup. He was not DHing in this one. Instead, it was Kyle Higashioka against a right-hander, which I think is a big sign. If Jock Peterson and Rowdy Tellez are going to be on this roster, and they're not going to be DHing or playing first base, even before Jake Berger comes back, I don't know exactly what that's going to mean for this roster construction. I mean, the Jock Peterson experiment, it seemed like such a safe bet, and it has been the exact opposite of that. But right now, the Rangers just have to play their best lineup, and Kyle Higashioka is their best hitter right now, which is a wild sentence to say with how he started the season and how I thought, oh boy, you bought high on a catcher in his mid-30s after a career year. That seems like a mistake. No, it seems like Kyle Higashioka was just taking a moment to heat up, and heat up he has. A 3-hit day for Wyatt Langford, a 3-hit day for Marcus Semien. It was just overall a great offensive day. And then Adolis Garcia coming in with that 2-run homer in the 8th inning to just add that little bit of, as Chris Fitz on Blue Sky put it, a butthole unclencher home run, which just perfectly accurate describing what that was. But just getting a win in this one and adding that on, especially if the Rangers didn't add that on, then they might have ended up losing this game, or God forbid going to extra innings on a West Coast game. That would be just absolutely unthinkable. But the Rangers scoring that go-ahead run was a lot thanks to Cory Seager, who reached base on that error and then reaches second base on a wild pitch, a pitch in the dirt that, didn't kick away all that far. It shows you when Cory Seager really gets going, he has a little bit of speed in there. Usually he's not using that, and I think that's right. I think that is smart given his history with hamstring injuries, even as recently as, twice this year already he's dealt with hamstring issues. So I don't want Cory Seager hustling out every single routine ground ball to the infield. But when the time is right, Cory Seager's baseball clock is just unmatched. He knows exactly how fast he needs to go to stretch leg out a double on a ball hit to the outfield. He knows exactly how fast he needs to go to reach second base on a ball in the dirt, a ball that he knew that the Rangers needed every extra base. And because of that single that Marcus Semien had the very next batter ended up being an RBI single, giving the Rangers that lead. And then on, plays in the infield, Seager, you look at his arm strength and what that's rated on Baseball Savant, it's not very strong, but it's because he knows exactly how long he has and how long he needs to throw out a runner. Every time he'll beat the guy by about 1 or 2 steps. It's always a pretty close play because he takes exactly how much time he needs, and he knows exactly how much time he needs every single time. If he needs to hustle to throw because the runner's a little fast, he'll do that. If the guy's a little slower, he can take his time, take that extra step to get set, and then make a more accurate throw. He knows that. He is just such an intelligent and just wildly talented baseball player that I am so appreciative of him. The Rangers also made some roster moves, or a roster move before this game, placing Jacob Webb on the 15-day IL and calling up Luis Crivello, who has been doing pretty well in AAA. He's had a 40-man roster spot for the entire season. I'm a little surprised it took this long to get him to come up, but the Rangers have one of their guys on the IL, which means that their need for a reliever is getting even higher. We're talking about who's left, who the AL West is making moves for, and did the Rangers make the Angels buyers with their two stupid losses on Monday and Tuesday? They just might have. Talk about that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. It's time to fuel up and turn it on with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings a bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor to your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days on the course or even off it, you need that extra boost just to stay sharp and energized. Like, I don't know, say if your team played a West Coast game the night before, or if they're playing an entire week of West Coast games, and you might end up being a sleepy person. I can't relate to that at all. Just kidding. I very much can, and I very much need the help of 5 Hour Energy to get myself energized. So golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors, of course. The grape ginger lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the beverage cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5hourenergy.com, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. This code is not good on subscription orders. Shout out to the Everydayers picking Locked On Rangers first listen every single day. On tomorrow's show, we'll be talking about what the Rangers do at this trade deadline. Tomorrow's show might actually be recorded later today, closer to the deadline, if the Rangers make a big move or if they haven't already. Nope. No breaking news updates there during the ad read. Go check it out. Tomorrow's show, I'll be talking all about whatever's going on at this trade deadline. And if nothing too explosive happens, then maybe it'll wait till, tomorrow at noon or 11. And I'll even talk about the Rangers hopefully starting off a series against Seattle with a big win. And Seattle lost last night. So let's look at where the Rangers are in the standings. Still 5 games behind the Houston Astros at the top of the AL West, but they are now tied with the Seattle Mariners for that third wildcard spot, a game and a half back of the Boston Red Sox for the second wildcard spot, and 2.5 games back of the New York Yankees of that top wildcard spot. And stuff has been moving. The Rangers haven't done, well, they did trade Dane Dunning away. That's technically counts as a trade, not a trade deadline day trade by any means. Oh my goodness. The A's are, as we are recording this, the A's are trading for Mason Miller and JP Sears. So that leads right into what I was talking about, the AL West, who is making moves. That is the big move for the A's. They are the only team who considers themselves sellers at this point. Somehow I don't understand why, but I also do understand why, because it's the freaking Angels, who are 4 games out of that third wild card spot, a tie with the Rangers and the Mariners. They are behind the Guardians, the Royals, and the Rays who are sellers. They are just ahead of the Twins, who are also sellers. The Royals have been in a weird place of buyers and sellers. They've also won 7 of their last 10 games. So maybe the Royals think they're back in it. They're only 3 out. The Guardians are definitely sellers, and they may be betting big or betting small on themselves, those Cleveland Guardians, and all the nonsense they're getting into with gambling issues with Luis Ortiz and former Rangers prospect, 100-mile-an-hour cutter trade piece in the deal with the Cleveland Guardians for their 2-time Cy Young winner. He is also ensnared in all of that. But you look around the AL West, and everybody pretty much thinks of themselves as buyers at this point. Houston's kicking the tires with a bunch of different guys. The trade talks with Dylan Cease have kind of, backed off. I think they're definitely kicking the tires on Sandy Alcantara. That would be a big price. They've already made a trade, trading away Twine Palmer, a minor league pitcher, to the Baltimore Orioles for infielder Ramon Urias. Their third baseman, Isaac Paredes, he has a torn hamstring. He is going to be out for the rest of this season. He was a big part of that deal and the big part of the return in the Kyle Tucker deal. He has been very good for them this year. He was an all-star, and he's out for the entire second half, and their offense was already lacking. They've already had a lot of issues with their offense. They've got some issues in their clubhouse with Framber Valdez saying that the defense that the coaching staff was playing led to a run that he gave up that ended up being the deciding factor in that game. Wow, absolutely just wild stuff happening there in Houston, who has been mostly in a free fall, kind of pulling themselves out of it, unfortunately, but still only 5-5 in their last 10 games. Seattle Mariners, who are really going for it, they traded for left-handed pitcher Caleb Ferguson from the Pittsburgh Pirates. They also reacquired Eugenio Suarez, the third baseman who they traded away after the 2023 season because he was making too much money, which I believe was 12 or 15 million dollars. That was just too much money, too rich for the blood of the Seattle Mariners, who were trying to win 54% of games or 56. One of those percentages. It was not all their games, which was just a wild comment from their GM, but he is trying to rectify that. They traded 3 of their top prospects to get Eugenio Suarez, who is a rental at this point. He was beloved in Seattle by the fans, by his teammates, but ownership said, we're a little cheap and we don't want to spend money on a good player. And Suarez has, I believe, 36 home runs before he got traded. He is just the streakiest hitter in all of baseball. His hot streaks, they go for a month, 6 weeks, sometimes 2 months. But his cold streaks go for equally long. And in 2024, he was basically the worst hitter in baseball for the first half. And then the second half, he was one of the best hitters in baseball. Right now, he has been on an absolute tear for the last month and a half, 2 months. The last 7 games, he's been a little bit cold. So maybe he'll go back to Seattle and he will freeze up. But the Rangers will probably be seeing him in this series against the Seattle Mariners. I bet he starts as soon as this Thursday game, this game today, because they have officially announced that move. So that's all happening. And the Angels also somehow weirdly buyers. Luis Garcia and Andrew Chafin, both relievers with the Washington Nationals. They made that move after the Rangers lost the stupidest game I've ever seen on Tuesday night. They made that move on Wednesday afternoon. There's just been a lot of movement in general, and including guys who the Rangers were targeting. Ryan Helsley was a reliever who the Rangers were definitely kicking the tires on with the St. Louis Cardinals, throws 100 miles an hour, doesn't always really know where it's going. He is no longer on the board. He has been traded to the New York Mets. Tyler Kinley is a reliever with the Colorado Rockies, who has an option for next year, has been fine this year. Had a contract extension after a great 2021 season, then was, great 2022 season, then was not so great in 23 and 24, and has been mostly fine this year. He went to the Braves. So those are a lot of the guys that are off the market for the Rangers. And there are still plenty of options on the trade market. Johan Duran was also traded to the Phillies. I don't think the Rangers were ever really in on Duran. He is just a guy who has several years of control. He's one of the best closers in baseball. I mean, that splinker is just an absolutely crazy, nasty pitch. It is just such a good pitch. And the Twins got a haul for Johan Duran. And the Rangers don't really, they have things in their system that are the equivalent of an Andrew Painter, but it's basically just the top of this system, just the very top of the system, Sebastian Walcott, who is not going to be included in any trade. I don't see any trade where the Rangers move on from Sebastian Walcott, their top prospect, who has been doing pretty well in Double-A for a teenager. Actually, really, he's been doing pretty solidly for anybody. He's been doing incredibly well for a teenager, a guy who has a limitless ceiling, who I don't see the Rangers including in any deals. Also, I talked about this on the trade deadline preview show on last Friday's episode, that nobody who the Rangers drafted this year is going to be included in a trade. They're also not going to include Walcott. They're also probably not going to include a couple of different guys. I talked about that extensively on that show, but there's still some guys who were there, including Evan Grant, who talked on the ticket on the show with Sean Bass yesterday afternoon. Shout out Sean Bass and shout out the ticket. Shout out Evan Grant on 1310 The Ticket. Evan Grant, at that point, this was around 2 p.m. yesterday, said that Jake Bird is the most likely relief arm for the Rangers to trade for. The Rockies are looking to move him pretty aggressively because he's been struggling as of late, and the Rangers probably think that his trade value is higher. He's also a pre-arb guy, who has had some pretty darn good seasons, got some good strikeout numbers. You get him away from Coors, you get him away from the Rockies. I think that is a great thing. Evan Grant also said that listed prospects of the Rangers could be including in trades today. Cole Drake, Jose Corniel, who just got back from injury. He's got some eyes on him. Mitch Bratt and David Hageman are also some available pieces. But he said those guys likely aren't quite enough to make a trade for a pre-arbitration player like Jake Bird, but also maybe it's the Rockies. They are not a particularly well-run organization. Usually they have been Switzerland at the trade deadline, knowing that their scouting department and their front office are just not good and they don't want to get just done over on trades, but they've already been pretty darn aggressive, shipping out Ryan McMahon, shipping out the reliever that I just talked about, Tyler Kinley, but they are definitely wholesale on trading guys away, and the Rangers, I think, should definitely kick the tires. So coming up, we're going to talk about who the Rangers have been linked to this morning already, some new names on the trade market, and who all is even left for the Rangers to go get at this trade deadline. We're going to talk about that and more right after this. Shout out to the everydayers making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. Every single game, after every single game, Jeff Biggs is with you in your Locked On Rangers feeds with the Locked On Rangers postcast, reacting live to all of the games, everything that's going on there, reading out your comments and talking about what's going on after every single game. You can find it in your Locked On Rangers podcast feeds on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Now, the Rangers have already been linked to even more relievers this morning. Per Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic, he said the Rangers are in talks about the Cardinals' right-handed reliever, Phil Maton. You may remember, we'll talk about that in a second. Royals reliever, Hunter Harvey. They still like David Bednar, the closer of the Pittsburgh Pirates, but they think that the price is a bit too steep. He also mentioned Jake Bird as another possibility. I really like David Bednar. I don't know what the asking price is for Bednar. That might be a negotiating tactic for the Rangers to kind of try and drive that price down. But we'll see. Yeah, Luis Leodolis DeVries is the number 3 prospect in all of baseball. He is the one who is going back to the A's in that deal for Mason Miller, really selling a lot higher than I thought they would on him. I didn't think that we were going to see a guy with, a fastball like that, a slider like that, who has 4 years of control left. I mean, that is a big move for the San Diego Padres, who seem like they are very much all in going for it this year and for years to come, making a move like that for Mason Miller. But Evan Grant also linked the Rangers to Danny Coulombe, the left-handed pitcher, formerly of Texas Tech, Reckham. He is signed with the Twins after this offseason. I thought the Rangers might kick the tires on him. He was a lefty who I really liked, who Baltimore just kind of let go after a pretty darn good season. And I know that Danny Coulombe has an ERA now, but for the first 2-3 months of the season, Kulum did not allow an earned run. He has been just very good, a very solid, another lefty in this relief corps that just has a lot of really good lefties out there. I was trying to spell Danny Coulombe and look up what his ERA is now. Yeah, in 40 games, he has a 1.16 ERA, 31 strikeouts in 31 innings, a whip below 1. He has just been pretty darn good. And I don't really get why Baltimore just kind of let him walk after last year. I know he had some injuries that he was dealing with. He's been battling back from that this year, but he had a 2.12 ERA in 2024, and he hasn't had an ERA north of 3 since 2021. I mean, he had a 1.5 ERA in 10 games with the Twins in 2022. He had a 2.8 ERA with Baltimore in 2023. Like, he pitched 50 innings that year. I just don't really understand how Kulum was kind of slept on. And so the other guys who are left for this Rangers team, there's those guys that I just mentioned, Maton, who you may remember as a former member of the Houston Astros and also a member of the Tampa Bay Rays, who threw the worst pitch of the season in 2024 because it broke the arm or the wrist of my beloved boy, Josh Young, and just completely derailed his season and kind of derailed the Rangers season in 2024. That would be an interesting reunion if Phil Maton does come through the clubhouse. It's like, oh, hey, sorry about your wrist, buddy. let bygones be bygones. I don't know if there's any bad blood there. I know it was definitely not intentional, but I still harbor a little bit of fury for Phil Maton whenever I see him on my screen. I'm like, I know what you did, bud. I know what you did, and I am a little less quick to forgive than I think Josh Young would be. Definitely be at least a little bit of side eye for sure. But of the guys who I've mentioned, who's left? Well, Victor Vodnik, who is another pre-arbitration reliever for the Colorado Rockies. He has got some issues with some walks. He's got some strikeouts. Maybe getting him away from the Rockies is something that could be good for him. The Rangers are also kicking the tires on a possible reunion with Pete Fairbanks, who is not making that much money from now to the end of the season. If Rangers ownership is too cheap to go over that tax threshold, then that's a reliever who could make a lot of sense. He's also got an option for next year for, I believe, $2 million. Not particularly expensive for a guy who had been an incredibly consistent reliever for the last half decade. The last couple of years with Pete Fairbanks, the strikeouts have gone down. The velocity has gone down. The chase has not been particularly great out of the zone. I mean, he's gone from about 99 miles an hour on that fastball to just 97. So that's just a little bit concerning. No, still nothing happening. Don't worry. Nothing is happening just yet. And it'd be really embarrassing for the Rangers to lose a Pete Fairbank trade twice. He came up to the Rangers system. You may have remembered his journey. You may not. His nickname is the Accountant, just an absolutely incredible nickname because he just kind of looks like a boring accountant, but he was a guy who the Rangers drafted in one of the later rounds. He had Tommy John surgery, came back, and he added a whole bunch of velocity to his fastball, and he went from, I believe, low A, at the very least high A, to the big leagues in 1 year and just surged up. And the Rangers thought, I don't know if this is sustainable. Let's go ahead and capitalize on this. Oh, Rays, you got that guy Nick Solak. I think he could definitely play on this Ranger team, be a bat on this Rangers team for the core for years to come. And, that was not the case, and Pete Fairbanks definitely held up and has been just incredible for them for the last 5 years or so. But the Rays are in sell mode. They are also in sell the team mode. They are for sale. A Jacksonville-based billionaire who wants to keep the Rays where they are and not move them to Canada like the talk was a couple of years ago. So it seems like whatever the new ownership situation is definitely cool with the Rays just kind of selling off pieces that will not be there next year to kind of rebuild that farm system as the Rays are wont to do. And the last guy on this list is Kyle Finnegan, the closer of the Washington Nationals. I talked with our Locked On Nationals host about a possible deal there, Ryan Clary. He said, if you're trading for Finnegan, he said, good luck and hold on tight because it is a wild ride with Finnegan as your closer. Not exactly what you like to hear if the Rangers are kicking a tire on a guy. The Rangers should be able to stay under that luxury tax threshold if they trade for Finnegan. It might be a little bit close. Kyle Finnegan, who has been the closer for the Nationals for the last couple of years. And, the Rangers already traded for one Washington Nationals reliever, and that has worked out pretty darn well with Robert Garcia. Now, adding Finnegan, who is a guy with closer experience, doesn't have the nastiest closer stuff, and that's really the thing that this Rangers team needs, is just nasty stuff. You look up and down this pen, and there are guys who are really good, having great seasons. For sure, Robert Garcia having a great season. Hobie Milner, guy, despite last night's kerfuffle, still having a great season. Sean Armstrong having a great season. Jacob Latz having an incredible season. Chris Martin, who will come back at some point, he's been great this year. Cole Winn has been really good this year for the Rangers. Is it going to sustain and hold up? I'm not entirely sure, but it's holding up right now. And they also just got John Gray out of this pen, whose last outing was a travesty, but the other two were pretty darn good. So we'll see what this Rangers pen exactly goes and gets. It seems like the prices are pretty high at this point. I mean, the trade for Taylor Rogers that the Mets made, I think it looks a little bit higher. They traded Drew Gilbert, who was the guy who they got in one of their trade of Justin Verlander back to Houston, who Justin Verlander is on the trade market for the San Francisco Giants. Maybe the Astros go ahead and do that again and bring Justin Verlander home, who has an ERA around 5 this year and is trying to get to 300 wins unless he gets, 20 a year for the next 3 years or 2 years. 25 a year, I think, for the next 2 years. I don't think that he's getting there. He still didn't have a win this year, last I checked. He might have gotten in the last week or so. But that would be hilarious to see that. But it seems like this AL West race, it is a tight race. And, we've seen some other teams make some big swings. The Toronto Blue Jays are making some big swings. They traded for Shane Bieber, the former Cy Young winner of the Cleveland Guardians. He has been rehabbing all year, and they need to bolster that rotation with some top-end talent. And Max Scherzer might be bumped out of that rotation. We'll see exactly what that pen looks like, but the Blue Jays are going for it this year. The Tigers are going for it this year. I don't think that anybody's all that particularly good that, really scares me. And if this Rangers team can add just a piece or two in this pen, especially with the Jacob Webb injury, we'll see exactly what Luis Crivello looks like whenever he makes his big league debut. If he's going to pitch in any leverage spots, I kind of doubt it, but the Rangers have kind of put themselves into a little bit of a tough spot of having to throw their closer last night in a game that, at one point they were winning this 7-1. And it didn't seem like that was going to be something that the Rangers were going to have to do. 6-1 at one point, a 5-run game. They had to end up using their closer and using 3 different leverage relievers in, even though they only needed 2 innings to close that game out. But this AL West race, this AL wildcard race is wide open. Nobody's that particularly good. And the Rangers might be included in that nobody is particularly good. But if they get themselves to the postseason with this rotation, with a legendary, the best manager of all time in Bruce Bochy, with Cory Seager and Adolis Garcia doing what they do in the postseason, and a pen that is so significantly improved from what they did in 2023. I really think that this is a team that could make an incredible run. That's going to do it for today's show. Thankfully, nothing has broken since I've recorded this. We'll see if that happens in the next 15 minutes while I'm uploading it. But until next time, don't forget to enjoy trade deadline baseball.